No expectations, no obligations, no pressure. Hi, welcome back to the Soul Clinic with Chang. What I, the words that I opened this video with, they came to me as a description for the state I want to be in relationship to these daily videos. And because I got the inspiration from another YouTuber um, who's a channeler who urged me and many others to just show up and speak for 111 days straight. And of course, I don't do these things just because someone else told me to. Uh, there has to be an internal resonance as well. I mean, it has to ring true for me as well. And that's why I'm doing these daily videos. And the format also is something that's given where I am right now in my life. It uh, I could do this while enjoying this. I could enjoy this format of just showing up, no obligations, no pressure, no what was the third one? But anyways, no obligations, no pressure. I forgot the other one. Anyways, I'm just showing up without any pre-planning in case it's not obvious yet. And I'm just trusting that something worthwhile will come out. And my message, or the message being worthwhile or not, is not for me to judge. And the only criteria that I am encouraged to use going forward is how I am feeling while doing that, not the external metrics, like how many views, how many comments. So, as I shared earlier in other videos, my tendency to do things for some future benefit has been what's limiting me, or one of the main reasons why I wasn't enjoying myself as much as I knew I could and as much as I wanted to. And the point in all of this, meaning the point of life, is to just enjoy oneself. And there are obstacles to that. A lot of it is just internalized human tendencies that we got from outside conditioning, social conditioning. And I thought I could make today's video pretty short because I show up without any previous planning. I don't know. There is a part of me that's insecure about what if I don't have anything to say, or anything clever, anything smart, or anything impactful to say. And I'm being constantly reminded that that is not for me to worry about. I'm just here to, I'm just encouraged to show up daily, because what matters the most is not the words or how eloquent I am, but my frequency and vibration. And I know where that is. I know I'm vibing pretty high these days. Like it's getting higher and higher almost day by day. And of course it's not just a straight line. It is goes up and down, but the overall is this direction or this is this direction? I don't know. That will show up on camera. But anyways, for to me, it's upper right going up. So this state of just being able to be with you, stay in that high vibe, and without compromise, being able to let it out is quite new to me, and is what I'm told uh, the new frontier of content creation on a smaller scale, but on a more broader scale, it's how the new frontier of a new way of living. And that was a redundant phrase, but a new way of living, a higher new way of living. And so I the point of this video, at least for today, is I just wanted to share the vibe that I got with you without giving too much so that I hurt my vibration and I get exhausted and I get um, and I overextend myself, overgive, which has been the tendency for certainly me and many other, hmm, how should I call it, high vibe people who are meant to be the leaders of the new earth. Okay, and because I know those new leaders of the new earth, the leaders of the new earth, old souls, light workers, starseeds, whatever name that suits you. I just wanted to remind you that your state, your vibes, your frequency does always do the heavy lifting. And of course, because we're all one and we are all connected, and there's no you and me, we are all uh, cut from the same cloth, the divine cloth, or uh, the universe that connects all of us together. What I'm telling you is what I'm telling me, and the concept of you and me, or those pronouns, can be said to be the problem. So one example I can use to explain, how about we start with the phrase or the saying, you create your own reality. And, or to put it in first person, I create my own reality. And the issue is, what is the I? Or more specifically, what is the range of the I? At one level of thinking, I create my reality, yet I don't create the whole of my reality. So according to some explanations, it is a co-creation between you or I and the universe. And there is nothing wrong with that explanation, but at the same time, uh, from a more elevated level, it can be said like this: there's only one I, so everything is I. And in that case, I cannot be localized into just one human being. And therefore, if we extend the definition or the range of the I to include everything in the universe, because there is only one I, from a higher level of thinking or perspective, it holds true. I create my own reality, the whole of it. And even the seeming others is on the most fundamental level. They are also you. And that is the one of the deeper secrets of reality creation. Because your power is defined by how wide you define yourself, define your I as, okay? In order to access God power, which is omnipotence and omnipresence, omniscience by definition. And if your God is any less than that, well, that's your problem. In my case, God is the absolute, and there's no thing, not a thing outside of God. So, in order to access the omnipotence, God power, you need to realize the full extent of the I. And how do you do that? It's what so many mystics from the different traditions all over the world have been talking about. These days, I've been reading one from uh, the Kashmir Shaivism tradition. Uh, Someone named Swami Lakshmanju. And that particular book outlines something like 104, 114, or something like that. I could be wrong, but more than 100 at least. Different ways of doing that. And uh, I can't, I, I couldn't help but just smiling and laughing at times at how just how many different ways there are to get to the same destination. It's almost like when there is only one I, you can't escape from that I. And because God is omnipresent, you can't escape God, whatever you do. Least of all, because you are God, or God includes you. You are a part of God. That will be a more accurate description for our everyday reality. So, all of the different ways to experience the ultimate reality of God, those 114 or whatever other number ways, they all the purpose of they all have the same purpose of contacting that God reality. So there's no one way, because there is, like, for all practical purposes, the number of ways to reach God is infinite, because God is infinite and you can't escape that. Why am I even talking about this? But so the point is, the individuality that comes in to the formula is that way for you out of the hundreds and millions of different ways to reach God or access God power of omnipotence, is the one that is the most enjoyable for you. That is the criteria that most people miss, because humans with our developed intellect, we like to complicate things. Can't be that easy. And that is exactly how we get separated from our own power. That's how the society divests our power away from us. There are two kinds of simplicity. I think this quote also comes from Einstein. Simplicity, there is simplicity, like untrained mind, simplicity of an untrained, uneducated mind. Let's just say that, like a simpleton, okay? And there's also simplicity on the other side of complexity, okay? So when you are simple because you are uneducated and you don't know things, you're inexperienced. You're just like a blank slate, blank paper, no inputs. Then the desired direction of development is toward complexity. But at the same time, when you get too complex, it actually starts to turn in on oneself and starts self-sabotaging. Because as I shared in one of my earlier videos, the mind is dualistic and it can argue for both sides of the argument. Can't make up its mind. Can't know anything for sure, because it's designed to swing back and forth. That is the very nature. So when you can't make up your mind about something, the easy, simplistic, seemingly simplistic criteria is what is the most enjoyable for you. Another way of describing it is following your bliss. Where is your bliss? Um, to credit where credit is due, following your bliss is what mythologist Joseph Campbell, his advice for his students and pretty much every human. And I wanted and tried to follow that simple advice of following your bliss from very early on, from my teens, I think. But I couldn't do it as fully as I wanted. And after a couple decades. Now I understand why. As I would say in many other videos, it all comes back to your body. Bliss is a felt sensation. Where the bliss registers or where it is felt. It is both uh, a compass and also a compass and an indicator, and the objective, the goal as well. So it may be hard to conceptualize, but what I'm saying is your bliss tells you where to go to get more bliss, because our body is little more than a biomechanism, a machine that runs on bliss and joy as fuel. And when there is not much bliss and joy in your life, that is why it's so hard to fuel your body, let alone your life. And joy and bliss is not readily recognized in this modern society as a valuable currency. That is because on a below the on the below the surface level, that's what you're taught, and that is the where the siphoning of the energy and the exploitation to extract your life force, your very life force of joy and bliss out of you. That is how this modern society is to set up, because it is, uh, from a certain perspective, one of exploitation, civilization based on exploitation. And what does it exploit? It exploits the fact that you, or most of us, are taught not to value our joy and bliss enough, so that someone else can extract that energy out of us for their own advantage. And it's not just money. Well, what I just said can be translated into the financial systems. And yes, there is such a thing. It is real. Um, the financial system is it involves financial exploitation of the masses. But that's not what I'm talking about, and that's not what uh, the fundamental issue is. You've heard that there's a chance that you've heard that money is energy, and some people say it dismissively, which irks me a lot. If you really want to use the statement, money is just energy, to your advantage, you need to understand the primacy. Is that the right word? Is that even a word? the primacy of energy. Energy comes before everything else. Everything is energy, and energy is everything, as I would like to say. So, on the basis of what I have been saying so far in this video, if you have to choose between energy and money, although I don't like to be that reductionist, but anyways, hypothetically, if we had to choose between money and energy, long term, it's wiser to choose energy because that is the more fundamental currency of our lives, the fuel that fuels us, the fundamental fuel that moves our lives around and our bodies within our lives. But we are so easily taught to exchange our very life force, joy and bliss, for money. Our life force energy of joy and bliss is far more valuable than money, and it is really invaluable. It's priceless. You can't put a price on it. And so even the attempt to put a dollar sign next to it, which is, I think, what I talked about yesterday, it is dehumanizing and not a very smart thing to do. If you want to experience being godlike in your own life and reality. So I think I've said enough for today. I like the flow of how it came out, and I don't always like to explain away everything, but there is a part of you, a higher mind that you have access to, which has a way of understanding what I said. Hint, your heart. Okay, thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll see you in the next one.